What's up everybody, welcome back to Meathead Gaming. My name is Roland and today we're going to be doing top 10 knives under 100 euros. Now, I did this in the past, around a year ago, but the prices of skins in general and especially with the knives is so volatile. They've changed so much, especially like the butterfly knives just skyrocketed in the past few years. So I feel like I have the civil duty of making this video just to help out people in case they are looking into getting their first knife or just getting a knife overall, but they don't want to invest too much because it's like, you know, you're paying for pixels basically, right? That being said, let's jump into the top 10. Now, I'm gonna start with an honorable mention. We're gonna have two knives here in the honorable mention. It's the Falchion knife Damascus steel field tested, or the Falchion knife blue steel also field tested. Now, it's not a big secret that we don't really like Falchion knives now, do we, the guys? Because it has a shitty pull-out animation. It has quite a cool inspection when your character holds it on its finger, but other than that, it's a little bit overwhelming when you pull it out. Now, that being said, I think the advantages that the Damascus steel and the blue steel offer in general, but especially with the Falchion knives, because the Falchion knives also have the handle colored with the pattern, which is a big plus. So I think the advantage to these knives is that if you are into gloves and if you believe, which is correct in my opinion, that gloves are more important, for example, than knives when it comes to the aesthetic of your loadout, then you can get whatever glove you want. And if you don't want to invest too much into a knife, you can just want to get one of these, because whether it's the blue steel or the Damascus steel, they pretty much pair up good with any color: green, blue, red, yellow, whatever your choice is when it comes to gloves. I think you can pair these up with anything basically, and that's why it's on the honorable mention spot today on our list. Alright, on the number 10 spot on our list today, it's gonna be the CSGO Daggers Crimson Web field tested, or you can also get the vanilla. So you have two options here. I like the vanilla a lot. I think the black color, I think it looks really nice. Shadow daggers are not very attractive, but the vanilla one is really cool. And then we have the Crimson Web one. As you might know, I'm a big sucker for the Crimson Web. I think it's my favorite pattern from out of all of them. And in the field tested form, it doesn't have too many scratches, so on and so forth. So if you like Crimson Webs, but you don't want to spend too much money, because usually Crimson Web skins are quite expensive, then I think the Shadow Daggers are a good option. Coming up at number 9, we have the Bowie stained field tested. I remember at one point somebody told me that it is scientifically proven that the Bowie knife damages your movement. I mean, you don't move as well with it as you would with another knife, and I perfectly agree with it. I think the Bowie knives are overlooked and underrated a little bit. I know a lot of people don't like them because it's very unique in the fact that you can only see the hand that holds it. You cannot see the other hand of the character in the game when you pull it out and when you hold it. So in that way, it's unique. They're not very expensive. Even like the higher end patterns are not so expensive, and I think the stained one fits the Bowie knife really well, because it's like a very savage knife in my opinion. Like, I've always said that the Bowie knife paired up with maybe what do you call it, Bloodhound glove, they're like pretty cool to pair up. Maybe with a bronze Bloodhound glove, it would go very well, and it's not that expensive, so I think it deserves a spot on our list today. Coming up at number 8, we have the classic knife Urban Mask in minimal wear condition. Now guys, I don't care what anybody says about CS 1.6, one thing is for sure: the knives were the knife in 1.6 was way cooler than the default knives are in CSGO. Now obviously Valve had certain interests when they put those shitty knives in CSGO, so it incentivizes people to hope for a better knife, to buy a better knife, so on and so forth. But as you might know, or as you might not know, the classic knife comes out of the 1.6 version of the game. The Urban Mask pattern is not the most desirable one, I'll be honest, but I mean, we're working in a budget here, and I think it looks pretty good. And it's a very good option for those of you that are looking to get a new knife. Now, coming up at number 7, we have the Huntsman knife stained in minimal wear, or you can get a field tested blue steel Huntsman knife. Okay, maybe not field tested, maybe well worn. It depends on the day, I guess, but you can get a blue steel Huntsman knife. I think these are a good mid-tier pack of knives. I remember my first knife ever was a blue steel Huntsman knife, so that's that. I think the blue steel looks really good, all black. The pull-out animation is not very desirable, unfortunately, because it's similar to the gut knife, and we all know that the gut knives are just horrible. So there's that, but the knife itself looks really cool, and they're not expensive knives because of the reasons that I talked to you before. So I think these are a very good option, and again, Like if you take the blue steel for example, the blue steel goes very well with the default gloves on both sides, on the CT side and on the T side. On the CT side obviously with the dark blue ones, because there are multiple characters with multiple gloves, but you can get an agent maybe for 80 cents and then you always have the same combination. I think it's actually a better choice than the stained, but the stained is also I've always said that the stained family, I think it's underrated. Well, not anymore, because the butterfly knife is like, oh my god, that knife skyrocketed so much. I remember when I told you previously I had the blue steel knife, the first knife that I ever got. I was also looking into the stained butterfly knife, and at that point in time it was like 160 euros. Today you can get one for 360, so there's that, guys. Crazy world, crazy time. Coming up at number 6, we have one of the newer knives that arrived in our game. It's the Paracord RM1000x field tested. Now the cool part about the paracord knives, it's the wear does not work like mostly on other knives. The wear is lower, like meaning that if you have a well-worn knife or a field-tested knife, it's gonna look better than some other knives with the same pattern on them, which is a good news for people that are working on a budget. Now, depending on if you like the new knives or not, that's up to you, I guess. I think the paracord knife is the second best one from the latest batch, the first one being the skeleton knife. So that being said, I think this is a good option if you are looking to get a newer knife, but you don't have quite a big budget. Coming up at number 5, we have the AORUS knife Damascus steel field tested. I honestly don't have too much to say about this. The AORUS knives are, I think the knife itself is cool, it's simple, and simple is good in my view, but the way the pull-out animation works and the inspection and so on and so forth, I'm not a big fan of it, and I think that's why the prices are as they are on this knife, and it just hinders the overall value of the knife. So that being said, this is a decent option, and if you are lucky, you can actually get a field-tested StatTrak one. So it depends on your day and on your luck. Being able to get a Damascus steel knife StatTrak under 100 euros, I think that's a steal. Up next at number 4, we have the survival knife RM1000x field tested. Now, I know I previously said that the paracord knife is the second best in my humble opinion, and that is true. So maybe you're wondering why the survival knife is higher up on the top 10. It's just because I think people might like it more than they do with the paracord knife. The knife itself looks pretty good. The pull-out animation is decent. It's similar to the AORUS knife, but the unique one, the one that the character does rarely, is really cool. So for that thing alone, I think people might like it better. And in the field-tested shape, it's not worn down or anything. It's not scratched, so it still looks really nice. And it's one of the newer knives, so maybe if you want something new. But again, you don't want to invest too much into these pixels, then you can just get one of these. Okay, guys, we're cracking the top 3, and first one out of these 3, on the number 3 spot in our top 10 today, it's gonna be the Bowie knife Blue Steel. I think this in well-worn wear. I think this knife is awesome. I love its simplicity. I love that it's all black. I love the blue pattern in general, the blue steel pattern in general, and Bowie knives are also always a good knife just to admire one certain pattern if you're a big fan of the patterns. Again, I love the simplicity, and again, because it's a blue steel knife, it will go very well with the default gloves, and that's why it's on our number 3 spot today on our list. On the number 2 spot on our list today is gonna be the stiletto knife Damascus steel field tested. I think the stiletto is decent. It's certainly better than everything else that I've talked about before as a knife. And the Damascus steel again is decent. It's a decent pattern, and as I previously stated in the honorable mentions, if you are more into gloves and you just want a knife just to complement the gloves, I think the Damascus steel is always a good choice, and the stiletto knife is better than what I've talked about before, in my humble opinion. So this is a good choice if you are into, or if you have this certain budget. And on the number 1 spot today on our list, it's gonna be the flip knife Knight in field tested wear. I think the flip knives overall are a good choice, especially in these lower budgets. And the Knight is, again, as I previously stated, it will go well with the default gloves if you're not into gloves and you just want a decent knife. Field tested Knight is decent. It doesn't have too many scratches. If you get lucky, you might get one that is looking quite like almost minimal wear, but you might have to be a little bit lucky there. So I think this is the best option, honestly, in under 100 euros. Knife wise, I think the flip knife is better than everything else that I've talked about before. The Knight pattern is decent, I would say. It's a mid-tier decent pattern, so this is a solid choice for this budget. And that is it for today's list, guys. Next week I'm gonna do top 10 knives under 200 euros. I'm gonna be doing more top 10s because I have a little bit more time on my hands, so I'm gonna be putting in more work in the channels, in this one and the other one. I hope you found something to your enjoyment here today, or you have found some help maybe with your choices. If that's the case, feel free to share the video with your friends, or maybe hit the like button or the dislike button. You know, it helps a lot on the channel. I'm usually not very insistent with these things to tell people to like my videos, so on and so forth. I'm hoping it will happen organically, but yeah, helping out is for free, guys, so I would deeply appreciate it. And give me some feedback. What are your top 10 knives under 100 euros, and what are your favorite knives under 100 euros in this category? Guys, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, stay safe, stay clean, and stay strong.